Hello and welcome to The Stinger, a superfan's guide to Marvel, Star Wars, and much, much more in fandom. I'm Josh Gann, and with me today, they've spent the past 24 hours prank calling me for some reason. It's Trent, Neely, and Joseph Snead. How we doing, guys?
Wish I had a clever dad joke right now, but I didn't plan enough ahead.
It's Monday, so I'm kind of in the same mindset as Trent.
You know, doing
Also, real quick,
yeah.
Somebody that listens to the podcast called me at work the other day, so I would like to give a shout out to Brad. You're the man, and your wife taught me how to read.
What? Joseph. Wow. You know, we love fan shout-outs, and that might be the most unique one we've had on the pod so far. So
I think so.
Shout out to Brad and your wife. I mean, genuinely. Joseph, we've been trying for years to get Joseph to read, you know?
Yeah, Brad's wife was my first grade teacher. She's a wonderful woman, so thank you.
Incredible. Well, Now that we got these lovely introductions out of the way, thank you all for joining. We're back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. There's been one of us went out of the country. One of us had surgery. There's been a lot of things going on in the world of the Stinger. But we're back and we're super, super excited for today's episode. We are recording today on April Fool's. And, what a lovely holiday. Honestly, a slept-on holiday. I don't think... does April Fool's deserve a day off of work?
I don't think we're quite that level. I would take day after the Super Bowl off before I would take April Fool's. But yeah, it's a fun little quirky just smile, just laugh, people.
It's one of those it's one of those second tier holidays. You got your major ones. You got Christmas, Easter, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving. And then you got your second tier ones, Flag Day, April Fool's Day, Arbor Day, Leif Erikson Day, President's Day. That could maybe be
which some people get off. So I mean, let's just.
I used to get off.
If President's Day gets off, then why not April Fool's? I just feel like we could do. I think we could do more collectively as a society. 4th of July has the hot dog eating contest. I'm thinking something like that for April Fool's Day. You know what I mean? We need, pranking needs to be more of a acceptable thing on April Fool's Day. At work, at school, wherever you're at, we just know that you're going to get pranked. You're going to prank somebody on April Fool's Day. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, there you go.
The best prank I saw today, and it got me for just a second. And then I read the details a little bit more, was Lego put out their life-size Minion set. And they said it was build this 100,000 piece, 2 meter tall set of a Minion. And at first I just saw Lego announce his Minion set. And I was like, oh, that's kind of strange. And then I looked at it, it said 100,000 pieces. And I said, oh, you're probably not breaking the Lego size record by 90,000 pieces on a Minion.
That would be nuts. That'd a life-size Lego Minion would be actually terrifying. That's not even funny. That would give me.
So they actually did
nightmare
build
fuel.
One.
Are you serious?
They built one.
I gotta
built
find
one
this.
for the joke. So
oh wow,
that's crazy.
Mad props to Lego for the commitment to the bit.
Yes, absolutely.
I got pranked on a couple things today. The first was Nintendo having a VR headset for the Switch. I don't know if either of y'all saw this.
No.
But it was you put the headset on and then you attach your Switch to the headset. And it was it showed someone driving with the Switch VR headset on. And it's Mario Kart animations on the road with them.
That's incredible.
But for a hot second, I believed it was real.
I believed it until they got into the car.
Right. Exactly.
Because they had the one where you're walking around Hyrule Kingdom.
Yeah.
Or
and I was
where
this is awesome.
The AR Mario was jumping over a stack of books on someone's shelf and getting coins, and stomping on Goombas. I said, "Oh, this is actually really neat." And then they got into the car. I said, "There's no way that's safe." Oh, it's April Fool's Day.
Exactly. The other one was I definitely read a tweet and forgot it was April Fool's and thought that Dak Prescott got traded for a second round pick. And I was like, that would have been wild. Oh, that
The
would have
like
been.
the sports news ones always get me for half a second. 'Cause
Yeah.
those ones you can like buy just because craziness is happening all the time.
Right, exactly. Like
Yeah.
you find out
Yeah,
on social media anyways.
I got fooled a few weeks ago when they traded Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick. So I mean,
there it is.
Hey man. We were doing right by him. There were better offers, and we were I'm not gonna. I've already gone through the denial phase. I'm more at acceptance now.
Yeah,
Talk
we
to
can't
me
go
2 weeks
backwards.
ago, and I would have had my Ryan Poles defender hat on and told you all the reasons why this was a great move. But no, I'm acceptance mode.
Have you pre-ordered your Caleb Williams jersey yet?
Absolutely, and the nail polish.
There you go.
I'm locked in. I'm locked in. It's Caleb Williams' world, and we're just living in it. I hope he's good. I'm really nervous. All right, we are here today to draft. Yes, we are here today to draft. It's been a while since we've done a draft, and in the honor of April Fool's Day, we're stepping outside the fandom realm a little bit. We're just having some fun pop culture conversations because we are drafting our favorite comedy movies. So we put together a little rubric, a little list of categories here. Today we're going to be drafting. Each of us will draft an action comedy. We'll draft a buddy comedy. We'll draft an ensemble cast comedy, one with, just a star-studded cast from top to bottom that centers on multiple characters. We also have a rom-com category, and then one wildcard category because every draft needs one. Guys, I won't ask you to show your cards too much, but what's the thought process heading into today? It's a little different from the norm on the Stinger.
I'm about to say this one's interesting because I feel like comedy movies are so subjective of like what makes individual people laugh compared to other stuff we've drafted here that like I could see that we're not having to fight for many things here. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a couple early 2000s staples that might be crossed over in the Venn diagram here, depending on what age any of us saw certain movies that were like a big deal in the early 2000s. But we'll see.
Yep, I'm just looking for movies that made me laugh.
See, that's the thing. It could be so many different things. Comedy, like, in doing my research, looking at other people's comedy lists, like it varies. People, there's a lot of consistency with some of the big movies, and then there were some other ones I was like, huh, really? You call that a comedy? Like that's not what I would call that movie. But it's different for everybody. But that's the wonderful thing about this draft. I feel like today is really going to be just us convincing each other why something deserves to be picked. You know what I mean? And before we draft, we will declare a draft order. I have a draft order generator open in another tab, and we're going to find our order now. And our draft order is number 1 overall pick goes to Trent. Ooh. Trent, you are up first. Joseph, you're stuck in the middle, and I am rounding things out in the 3 spot. Always prefer to have the edges in a snake draft. I don't know about you guys, but that's just me.
Joseph, I kind of like the middle.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. Joseph, I feel like you get stuck in the middle a lot in these things.
Yeah, well, that's just how it goes. Missed out on Dune in the last one because I was in the middle.
I guess it's tough. Okay. You're achy, breaky heart. I'm sorry. Okay. So any order goes with this draft in terms of you don't have to pick a certain category first. Mm-hmm. We are going any order you want. So this is where the strategy kicks in. If Trent thinks I have an action comedy up my sleeve that he doesn't want me to get, he's got to really think here. Does he want to take that off the table first? Trent, you have a very the responsibility weighs heavy on your shoulders at declaring what goes first in literally any comedy movie ever made. You get to decide what's number 1 right here.
Right. And so for the 101, I feel like you have to pick for you a definitive comedy that's like if there is such a thing as irrefutable Mount Rushmores for comedies, you got to pick one of those. And so for my very first pick in the rom-com section, I'm going to
Oh,
go with When Harry Met Sally,
ah,
which
all
I which
right.
which I view and I think most publications view as the sort of definitive modern rom-com, modern in the sense of like post the screwball 50s comedies. Basically every rom-com since When Harry Met Sally has traces of this movie in it. I was rewatching this recently. It holds up great. Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, top of their game. It's just such a great portrayal of this. These two people, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, are driving from college, and then they keep bumping into each other every like 5 years or so, and they start this friendship. And you're sort of wondering, like, is it ever going to turn into a romantic thing? Because there's this whole thesis in the movie of men and women can't be friends because of all of the romantic stuff and all that thing getting in the way. And there's just so many great jokes and earnest moments. Yeah, there's scenes in this movie that like I quote and laugh about all the time to this day. So that's the 101 for me.
Oh, I love it. So what makes like so what year did this movie come out?
This is 89,
It's
I think.
89. Okay, so it's the first, it's the first modern rom-com is kind of what you're saying, but it it is kind of endeared as a classic at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
So like what because I haven't seen When Harry Met Sally. It's one that I know has and I feel like that might be a common theme today of us having not seen movies that each other are picking.
Yeah.
What's your pitch in selling people to watch When Harry Met Sally if they haven't gotten around to a classic like that?
I just think it's one of the great, just like it's one of those ones where all the lines are funny, or most of the lines of
Yeah.
dialogue are funny. Not even like the ones that are trying to be jokes, but even the tiny stuff in between, if you're listening, is really great. It's really funny because it has Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, like I said. It was directed by Rob Reiner and written by Nora Ephron, and so it has this great mix of two men and two women um working on this whole thing. And I think the fact that there are these four things is you could tell that they were able to be like, the men were like, oh, this is how men react in like a breakup situation, and this is how women react, and then
Yeah.
like this is our observations about the opposite sex. And so I think just having all of those people make those different observations make it one of the more well-rounded for both like the man and the woman side, because that's sort of a common knock on rom-coms, right? Is it like
Yeah.
skews to one character or the other? This one feels like both of them are fully realized in their relationship, and like the arguments that they have are very organic, and the happy moments are very organic too.
I love it. That's a good pitch. Again, it's been on my watch list for a while. I feel like that gets me closer to watching it. So
There we go. That's
I
all I
like
can hope
it.
for.
All right, cool. Joseph, you're on the clock.
I had a pick that I was like, this is going to be my number one pick. And then another thing popped into my head, and I said, you know what? I think I got to get that one before it goes off the board, because I think my number one pick was going to be safe for another round. So I don't know where this goes. I think I'm going to pick it as the ensemble, but it could be the action one.
Oh.
I'm going to say, let me see how I want to do this.
It's tough, man. It's tricky.
Keeping us in suspense here.
Look at the defense. Like, I can see the wheels spinning, it's a mastermind at work right now.
I'm going to take it as the ensemble.
Okay.
And say Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Great pick. Great pick.
Oh man, with your first overall pick, Joseph goes Spaceballs. Now, please explain what made you pick Spaceballs first and then slot it into the ensemble cast category.
Well, I mean, you look at the cast. You've got who is it that plays Lone Star? Bill Pullman plays Lone Star. John Candy's in it.
Yep.
Mel Brooks is in it. Who is that fashion lady that was in it?
Oh, I forget her name.
But she was in it. Princess Vespa's dad is like a famous comedian, I think. You have
Rick Moranis as a Dark Helmet,
I was
right?
trying to remember his name. Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet. Incredible
Incredible
comedic
performance.
performance
Yep.
as Dark Helmet. And I mean, I'm a Star Wars and Star Trek guy, so this type of comedy that they're riffing on just really plays to me really
Yeah,
well.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, Joseph, I think you showed it to me. I watched it.
I know we watched it at Virginia Tech, and there was a divided reaction to Spaceballs. Spaceballs is not for everybody.
Yeah,
it's not. It's definitely not.
It's not for everybody. And it was the people that I thought weren't going to like Spaceballs did not like Spaceballs, and the ones that I thought would find it funny found it really funny.
I think about
there's not really a neutral ground on Spaceballs.
No, but I will say I think about the comb the desert joke like shockingly often.
Yeah, my dad, he doesn't like say it all the way, but he'll just randomly be like, "Comb the desert," and the one that always comes, or there's two that always come back to me. One is when the cross-eyed guys are firing the lasers, and Dark Helmet throws his helmet back to us. Keep firing, a-holes.
Yeah.
that scene is great. And then the other one is the videotape one where they're watching themselves on the screen.
Yeah, it's like, let's look at the script or whatever, or like look at the movie.
Yeah, we're in now. Yogurt was oft quoted in my house growing up.
Yep.
Spaceballs, the merchandising. Yeah, Spaceballs. I don't know if I would say Spaceballs is my favorite comedy of all time, but I really wanted to have it on the board.
There you go.
I appreciate that. You gave it its proper respect. Spaceballs I watched it. It was like one of those like early, I was in middle school, I think, just hanging out, sleepover with my best friend Cody growing up. And it was like one of those early movies he introduced me, things that he loved, that he introduced to me. I'm at his house. He's like, we're watching Spaceballs. And I've never, like middle school Josh was dying, like in stitches over this movie. Like the lightsaber fight, guys.
Hilarious.
Middle school Josh was like, this is peak comedy. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. This is hilarious. Yes. I just, man, that I haven't watched, and I don't think I've watched it since then. So I don't know. It's a special movie.
There are a couple of jokes in there that as I've gotten older have just like cracked me up. The one about we're going to give your daughter back her real nose. And then I think it's Barf that says, she doesn't look Jewish.
Oh, yeah.
And as you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh, that's really bad. But also, that's really funny. And the settings on the vacuum lady.
There's so many things.
The scene where they capture the stunt doubles.
Oh yeah, it's like those are the stunt doubles.
Spaceballs is just great comedy.
Crazy. That is a crazy movie. All right, I move on to my selections now. I get to go back to back, and this one's tough. I feel like I'm trying to. I'm thinking about what y'all are gonna pick too much, but I think I need to go. I'm looking at my homework, my draft board here, and I'm like, where do I pick where I don't feel as safe if my number one gets taken off the board. So in a little bit of I love this movie and it's a safe pick for me right off the bat. I am going to with my first pick in the buddy comedy category. I'm picking 21 Jump Street.
Oh, that's a great pick.
I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
And that also a good sequel as well. 22 Jump Street. I actually did enjoy. Underrated indeed. I mean, just stunning, incredible cast. Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are just firing on all cylinders. And like this was a time I just felt like Jonah Hill was on top of the world in a weird way. in this era of his career. Ice Cube in this
Channing
movie.
Tatum was too.
Channing Tatum, obviously,
this is the movie that proved that Channing Tatum was like funny, because if you remember, he was like a rom-com and action guy, and then like 21 Jump Street happens, and it's like, oh no, this dude is a hugely gifted comedian.
And it's like, because of the way that the movie industry has shifted away from big blockbuster comedies, like we haven't got to see him in a role like that.
I know it's on a
great. Obviously you have Magic Mike, but you would think there would be more. You would think there would be more for my guy Channing Tatum. So, the
scene of the two of them experiencing the substance at the school is like,
oh gosh, it's
like Emily, Matt, and I, like the marching, like when he's in the marching band room and he's just like, keep going, and when he's like writing all the fours on the science board,
there's a scene
that's incredible.
There's a scene in that I think it's 21 Jump Street, not 22 Jump Street, where Jonah Hill's talking to his character's talking to like one of the what's his name? Dave Franco's brother.
No, it's Dave. It is
Dave Franco, right?
Yeah, okay, Dave Franco is his brother. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is Dave Franco. I get them confused all the time. But he's talking to Dave Franco's character, and like Dave Franco's character is like talking in a like a cool pretty boy accent, and he's like, Ja Phil, and then Jonah Hill responds just like, Ja Phil, Ja totally Phil, and it's just like it's so great. It's Jonah Hill just like, he cracks me up so much. So 21 Jump Street had to put it on there.
No, it's so great. Like Emily, Matt, and I will just randomly sing like the "I got a crow" like phrase to each other when Jonah Hill is like singing the school play. No, and I'm glad you brought Dave Franco up, because he's stealthily like one of the best parts of this. Like he's like singing, like there's one part where they're at a pool and he's just like singing the most random hipster John Mayer thing where it's like, we gotta save the earth, we've betrayed Mother Nature. Like he's like, guys, I'm going to Berkeley. Like this, this is gonna be the thing that changes everything. No, amazing movie. I've seen both of them so many times.
I love it. I love that movie, and I need to. It is inspiring a rewatch for me. So I take that off my list. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna go into. Let's see here. I'm gonna go action. I'm gonna go action comedy here.
Mm-hmm.
Because this, again, I'm nervous. Taking a movie that I just recently watched for the first time. Trent texted you about it, was super, super, super hyped up about it when I watched it. I'm taking Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
This is on my long list for action comedy, so good job.
Okay, I see. I was worried about you taking that one. So oh my gosh, watched this over winter break, over the holiday break, and was absolutely like glued to the screen watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yeah. It's so good. This also could have been an ensemble cast pick, I think. Yes. I did not realize, like, at the time, the amount of future stars in Hollywood that are in this movie. I mean, obviously Michael Cera, like he's been popping off lately, but Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Aubrey Plaza is in this movie. Mm-hmm. My guy, Jason Schwartzman, showing up at the end as like the Gideon villain X. Like, gosh, he's so good in this movie. I love him. It's just it, and it was me watching the movie. I knew that it was a graphic novel, but I didn't know like how heavily that influenced the movie.
Yeah,
and it's just like, and it's an electric experience watching it. Like almost like before Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
Spider-Verse elements in a live action movie, which is I don't know. It's a very creative thing to watch for the first time. So
no, there's so many great lines, but like the single joke the first time I watched it a couple years ago that killed me is Scott's girlfriend Knives comes to visit him at his apartment, and Kieran Culkin answers the door, and she's like, "Where's Scott?" And you just see Michael Cera in the background like jump out of his basement window. And like Kieran Culkin's just like, he just stepped out. And it's like the funniest thing because it's just like this fast moving dive roll. And I was like in my house at like 2 a.m. watching it, trying not to like wake everybody up because I was laughing so hard.
It's so just good.
I mean, everything actually Kieran Culkin does in that movie is great. Like the Battle of the Bands where they're like, this next song is called We Hate You, Please Die. And he's like, nice, love this one. Like
So I haven't seen Scott Pilgrim. I've seen one scene from it where Brandon Routh is like a super vegan.
Yes.
Oh
And
yes, yes.
it was pretty funny.
Oh, that scene's incredible. I was thinking about that scene when I was like putting my list together. Like, gosh, I mean, just there, and it's like truly like scene to scene hilarious. You don't get a break. I feel
No,
like
there's no like dull scene that I'm like, oh, you can skip this. Like it's just everything has at least one line or one joke.
Yes, exactly.
Like Aubrey Plaza cussing, but it's censoring her in the movie, and he's like, "How are you doing that?" And she's like, "Never mind how I'm doing it." Like,
it's so good, so good. Okay, Joseph, we pivot back to you.
All right, I'm gonna go for one that I think is in contention for my favorite comedy of all time.
Ooh.
And this is one that I think is more of a cultural one. I think you really have to have experienced the culture this movie shows off to really appreciate all of it. I'm going to go with Talladega Nights.
Oh, I was wondering if this could be off the board.
Good call. Wait, where are you putting it? What category?
But Buddy, I'm gonna take it as Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton Jr. as the buddies of the movie. If you guys want to overrule it, we could move it to something else.
No, that's good. That's good.
Great pick. That. Yeah,
great pick.
The scene that sticks with me in the movie, I mean, the two scenes that stick with me from the movie is one of them is the scene that everybody knows from the movie. Help me, Tom Cruise. Help me use your witchcraft to get the fire off. And then you just see John C. Reilly sprinting down the track like, please don't let the invisible fire hurt my friend. And then you have the announcer saying like, he's a real friend putting out that invisible fire. And then a scene not long after that where Ricky Bobby thinks he's paralyzed and stabs himself in the leg. And then
so good.
Cal Naughton Jr. and Michael Clark Duncan's character get other knives and start cutting this other knife that's stuck in his leg out. Will Ferrell's just screaming the whole time. And I really do think you have to have been exposed to like the culture of the South to really understand it. I'm not a NASCAR guy, so you don't have to be a NASCAR fan. But I think just understanding some of the different things in the movie culturally, it just makes it so much funnier if you've been around those type of people. Because Talladega Nights, like, those people exist.
Yes.
Like,
right.
Yes.
That was basically my high school. But the scene where, he's driving in the car with the cougar and he's trying to get his mojo back and his dad goes, there's a kilo of Colombian Bam Bam taped to the bottom of the car. Now, is it going to be 10 years of prison or are you going to drive out of this? It was just an absolutely hilarious time. Haven't even gone on about, what's his name? Jean Girard. And
oh, gosh.
The reactions to John Girard in the movie are 100% what the real life reactions would be if he rolled up into like Alabama or Georgia or South Carolina. It just like, who is this weird French guy that is trying to beat our hero and kind of also kiss the hero?
Yes.
But and he's also like super weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like one of my favorite jokes in the movie is just like when he's like, "You made me spill my macchiato, Ricky Bobby." Like he's like drinking an espresso in the race.
Walk with me in my garden, Ricky Bobby.
Yes. Oh gosh, I love this movie. And obviously the prayer to sweet baby Jesus. I mean,
that one. I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about it, but as far as like the meal goes, like bless this KFC bucket. Bless his Papa John's and this Mountain Dew and this Pepsi.
It's so.
I mean,
oh my gosh, I've been around tables like that where we are praying for similar foods and asking it to nourish our bodies.
So our friend Hunter and I will quote this movie just endlessly to each other, and so we'll randomly look at each other and be like, "Hey, you want to go get thrown out of Applebee's?" And that's just how we do it. And we go through and just quote the whole movie. And and obviously Hunter is from Georgia, so the movie hits well for him. I don't think this movie hits well for people from up north. I think they like it, but of the people more inclined to dislike this movie, it's just a cultural thing. This is definitely a movie about the modern South. And that's what I've told people. Like, if you want to see a movie that accurately portrays what modern Southern people are like, go watch this movie. Because I think
you're right.
It being a comedy, there's also like, and it being a NASCAR comedy especially, there's still like that slower lifestyle that you see in the South.
Yeah.
And the like, I'm not gonna lie. Sorry to all of you northern listeners of the podcast. Our food is way better than your food.
Okay.
It's not better. It's not better.
Draw the
for
line.
You, but it is way better.
Listen, some
I've
sweet tea,
had biscuits and gravy from up north, and they are not as good.
Yeah. Nah, you have to be down south for stuff like that. Biscuits and gravy. Oh, making me hungry.
Yeah.
Y'all can beat us on soup. I'll give you that.
All right, one concession.
Trent, it pivots to you now. What how do you follow up Talladega Nights?
It's impossible. Emily, Matt, and I, like, if somebody's being like overly negative or superstitious, we'll just do like the "Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby" real quick. Like, that's become our shorthand for that.
Oh, what a great quote! Gosh, I love that.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with action comedy, and I can't pick Scott Pilgrim, but I'm gonna go with the same director, Mr. Edgar Wright, and I'm gonna go with Hot Fuzz for my action comedy.
Oh.
This is post Shaun of the Dead, where Edgar Wright really comes on the scene. His next collaboration with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Follows Simon Pegg, who's like this. He's a police officer. He's not a detective per se. And he's reassigned because he's too good at his job to this small, sleepy town. But something nefarious is going on where people are being murdered in this small town. And along the way, like, Simon Pegg's character is very straight-laced and like conventional cop, actually filling out all the forms correctly and stuff. And Nick Frost's character from this small town, like, he just wants to like be somebody from a cop movie. He wants to be like Bad Boys or Point Break or something. And so like the two of them sort of learn from each other. And there's so many great, funny meta references to how like story structure in buddy comedies and action comedies work. And then the last 45 minutes of this movie turn into a genuine action movie. There's I don't even want to spoil it, but like genuine insane stuff happens. And it's just super funny, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite of like the pure comedies, I would say, from Edgar Wright, of like the Cornetto trilogy that everybody loves.
Interesting. Okay, so I've never seen Hot Fuzz, but it's on, like, as I'm doing my research, like, it's on everybody's lists.
Yeah.
Joseph, have you seen it?
I have not.
I think both of you would dig it. It's funny. It's really good.
Where does it rank in the Edgar Wright Hall of Fame?
It's like tied, or it's 1A 1B with Scott Pilgrim for me.
Really?
Okay. Those two are my favorite movies that he's done.
Okay, interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to add it to the watch list too, because I also love Simon Pegg. Like,
yeah, and he's perfect in this. He's so good.
I believe it. Okay, that's cool. What you got next?
I'm gonna go with ensemble comedy, and I'm gonna go with one that nobody saw at the time.
Okay,
and then it kind of got a cult following, and people are like, "Is this one of the last great studio comedies?" This is Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping.
Okay, yes. Tell me more.
So this is from the Lonely Island trio, and at the time it was sort of marketed and viewed as a like satire of the Justin Bieber movement, but in actuality, it is a parody of the sort of Behind the Music documentary where Andy Samberg's character was part of a boy band. And then he's like, I'm the star of this. I'm going to break off and start my own thing. And at the beginning of the movie, he releases his newest album. His name is Connor For Real, with the number 4, by the way.
Yes, yes.
The album tanks, and like the whole movie is just sort of this Behind the Music style, like I said, documentary of like charting why this boy band broke up and like what Connor's doing now, and like how he's going to sort of re-energize his career and maybe like become a better friend. Is sort of the emotional journey, if you want. But so throughout the movie, you just get these great cameos from people in the music industry as themselves, like Simon Cowell and Carrie Underwood, talking about this fictitious boy band that the Lonely Island makes up in the universe of this movie.
Oh my gosh.
And at the same time, you get some incredibly profane and crude, but genuinely like good music. Like I can't even name.
I mean that's Lonely Island for you right there.
Right. I can't even name the title tracks, but if you just looked up the soundtrack for this movie and looked at the names, you'd be like, oh, but all of the songs are actual like good songs for the most part. It's kind of impressive. And yeah, I just think the movie's hysterical. It just works. And like it's not like an emotional movie, but like there's actually like themes and a character arc built into it by the end.
All right. I haven't seen this one either, but I know of it because as you were describing Connor for real, I was like, oh no, this rings a bell. I mean, also Lonely Island is just, gosh, I miss those guys.
I mean, the impact they had on like making YouTube, like
yeah.
Going from just a video sharing thing to like one of the premier ways to view like videos and content, cannot be understated. Genuinely,
no, it can't. And just like how skits were written too. I mean, like I feel like, please don't destroy. That's at SNL now.
Yeah,
they're heavily influenced by what Lonely Island was doing, and I feel like, I mean, yeah, you're right. They were the OGs for kind of the online sketch comedy that we get now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. Joseph, we go to you.
I can't let this one stay on the board anymore. I'm going my rom-com, The Princess Bride.
Ooh, yes. Great choice. This was on a couple of my different long lists. So
an inspired pick.
Yeah, this is it's just a great movie, but I think sometimes you almost forget that it's a rom-com and it kind of blurs the line some.
Yes.
Because, it's kind of an action movie. I don't know if I would say it's a buddy movie at any point, but it's got a lot of elements of other genres and stuff in it. But, obviously the romance part of it speaks for itself, of Wesley and Buttercup.
Yeah.
But I think most of them do their comedy pretty well. The joke that has always stuck with me is, he's not dead. He's mostly dead. And everybody knows mostly dead is slightly alive. You got that one. You have Andre the Giant being hilarious. You've got the joke, you seem a decent fellow, I hate to kill you. You seem a decent fellow, I hate to die. I am not left-handed. Obviously, the scene with the inconceivable guy doing the 2 cups of wine.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a really fun rom-com. You have the framing story of the little kid and his grandpa. That's really cute.
Yes. Oh, adorable.
Unfortunately, he's wearing like a Bears jersey, but whatever.
That's right. The Bears are going to be a part of comedies from now until forever, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl Shuffle, you got to pay for that one. But yeah, I'm not a huge rom-com guy. I don't dislike them. I just don't watch them very often. But this is one that I'm like, oh yeah, if that's on, I would love to watch this movie again. It doesn't really ever get old.
It serves as a parody too, like a parody to the whole fantasy or like not fantasy but fairy tale. Right. Princess story. This is like a Mount Rushmore movie for my mom. We did a birthday celebration for her this year, and we're like, you pick everything today, Mom. And this is the movie she picked for us all to watch together at the end of the night. It's so good. It's so perfect. Good.
It's a good family movie too.
It is, like, yeah.
You don't bring, like, except for the scene with the what is it? The Rodents of Unusual Size.
Yeah.
There's not really anything in here you're like, oh, I need to cover the kid's eyes for
Which
this.
those
or
were
like it's
very creepy. Like if
I was scared of them as a little kid, for sure.
they are
I would have been
scary,
scared of them too, because like I was scared of them as a 27-year-old adult. Like those things are freaky.
but yeah, like thematically, it's a good family movie. You know, you don't have to worry about any like really inappropriate stuff in it, and like, oh, you know, my 6-year-old could watch this, and you know, what kid hasn't been traumatized by a movie? I mean, it's kind of part of growing up. So
Yeah,
if you see
absolutely.
the Rodents of Unusual Size, whatever.
Yeah.
We saw Anakin like burning on the side of a volcano, so I think you can handle a rat.
I think so too. I am up next, and I'm gonna go rom-com. I'm going rom-com first here, and this one I watched probably in college for the first time, and I don't know if I rewatched it since. For my rom-com movie, I'm selecting Crazy Stupid Love.
Great pick.
Just iconic work from Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, and Steve Carell. I mean, a true murderer's row right here. Steve Carell, we think of him from Michael Scott, but in a movie like this, you realize why he's so special. You know, like him and Ryan Gosling together are great chemistry, and it makes me wonder, why can't we see them in more stuff together? Like, I feel like, there's a period where Ryan Gosling wasn't really, like in a lot of comedy movies, like where I feel like that's where he really shines. We saw it in Barbie this year.
Yes, we did.
I'm just throwing it out there. Like,
I've heard his what's the movie he's in with Russell Crowe where they're two cops? I've heard that one.
The Nice Guys.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that one's funny too.
Yes, also a movie that I want to see that I've heard great things about. But yeah, like, let's get those two cooking a little bit more together. Obviously, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, we saw them in La La Land. We know there's chemistry there. But like, the ending to this movie is also like off the walls, wild and funny.
It's a rom-com with a genuine plot twist. It's like, how often do you say that sentence? And like, the plot twist is also one of the best jokes in the movie too.
Yes. It's so like, I think that's why it sticks out in my mind so well, is because they managed to work in stakes in a rom-com where you're, like you said, Trent, like, it is both like emotionally satisfying and just downright hilarious at the end of this movie. So, Crazy Stupid Love is, it might be, like, in my opinion, the best rom-com. I've seen a lot of them. Me and Haley tend to, especially through college, kind of bat and forth of like superhero movie, rom-com movie. Here's a Star Wars movie, here's another rom-com movie, and I've collected quite a few, but this one rises to the top for me. I love it.
I think this is the true successor to When Harry Met Sally. Like, I think it's the next great one, like, chronologically. So
really, like, you're saying like anything in between there, it's like that's When Harry Met Sally is 1, Crazy Stupid Love is 2.
Yeah, it was literally number 2 in my rom-com list for this draft board.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. All right. So that changes my perspective on it too. I feel like I viewed it in a higher light as well. So, and it also makes me want to go watch When Harry Met Sally even more now, if you speak so highly of it. Next I'm gonna go ensemble, and I'm gonna pick a movie. This one was a toss-up for me. But I think so. I recently rewatched the reboot of this movie, and it made me love and appreciate the original more. And that is Mean Girls. I am picking Mean Girls in my ensemble category.
Great pick.
An iconic movie. There's 1,000 quotable lines from this movie.
Yes.
Watching, and I'll say the new version, not great, but also very enjoyable. A lot of fun times. The musical aspect of it, believe it or not, I actually did enjoy. But when I was watching it, seeing how it's basically just a remake of the original with songs, like, you realize how good that original had to be to have the pop culture resonance that it still has 20 years later.
Yeah.
You know, this was not a. I mean, was Mean Girl? I mean, I don't know. We were young when it came out, but was it meant to be a blockbuster comedy?
I don't know. I mean, because it's Lindsay Lohan, who was a
Yep.
big deal in the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
This is part of like the insane, like the rewatchables have talked about this, the insane like arrival of Rachel McAdams, because she does The Notebook, Mean Girls, and Wedding Crashers like back to back to back.
Oh man, that's sheesh. That's a three-peat right there.
But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was like this is one of those weirdly like I think it's I don't know if it's officially produced by the company, but Lorne Michaels of SNL produces this because it was Tina Fey wrote it.
Yep.
So it was sort of I think at the time like viewed in a similar way of like it was like, you know, the Wayne's World and stuff like that, where it's like these SNL cast members were doing movies, and it's like, oh, is this going to be good? And then I actually just rewatched this myself a couple weeks ago randomly, so this is perfect. Yeah, rewatching it, I'm like, I don't know if this is the best like coming of age movie ever. I think though it might
but it's
be
in that category.
It might be the best one of like explaining how terrifying the ecosystem of high school is.
Yes.
Like what the like I don't even know how to like, but like literally what like the environment itself can do to people, and how like surviving and thriving in that hierarchy can make people do like insane things. But no, there's just the quotes. It's like, you can't sit with us, you know, stop trying to make fetch happen. I think there's some quotes from Mean Girls that people don't even realize are from Mean Girls. They've just like permeated like common speech lexicon.
She doesn't even go here. Like,
right. Like Regina,
so many.
Regina George is just like one of the greatest like 21st century villains. Truly.
100%.
Yeah. No, amazing pick.
An iconic. Yeah. She's an iconic villain. I mean, you're right. It does.
I'm a cool mom. Like, I think people say that without realizing that that's an Amy Poehler quote from this movie.
Yes, I think so too. You're right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the pop culture relevance that this movie has cultivated. On Wednesdays we wear pink. I mean, like there was there was when I started my job, there was a girl on my team who was like, rewatch it on the anniversary of the like, what's the date in the movie? I can't.
Oh, I would say it's like on October 7th, he asked me the date.
Yeah. Like rewatch the movie on that date every year, and wanted, you know, the rest of my team to watch it too. It's just like it's so good, and has had a lasting effect and especially in our generation. I think our generation especially views this as one of the like core building blocks of like of movies. To be honest, so yeah. Mean Girls. Joseph, your last... Nope. You have two more picks left. What you got next for us?
Well, you know, as the person who has never seen Mean Girls, I'll have to do something else. I am going to do my wild card now.
Okay.
And I think, like Talladega Nights, this is not a movie that will appeal to everybody for a different reason than Talladega Nights, in that it is a movie based on British humor and not American humor.
Oh. Interesting.
I am going to pick what may also be in contention for what I consider to be the greatest comedy ever. Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yes.
It's not for everybody.
Nope.
And you know, it's okay if people don't like British humor. I'm cool with that, but this movie to me is just hilarious. And I think it's almost like I think I heard someone describe the difference between like American humor and British humor. Of American humor will have like pockets throughout the comedy where you're just like crying, laughing, and British humor will keep you just like chuckling the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good... Like, yes. Yep.
Not like erupting into laughter very much. And so for me, just sitting down and watching this movie, you're just kind of laughing the whole time. You've got the scene with the little peasant like explaining representative democracy.
Yeah.
And the rabbit. And you have this big character, like this big wizard, come up. Says, I'm an enchanter. Some call me Tim. just Tim the Enchanter. My favorite scene in the whole movie is the holy hand grenade.
I was about to say the holy hand grenade bit is
Just
incredible stuff.
the the weirdness of them having no budget and making it work. So instead of horses, they just like hold their hand out like they're galloping and have a squire behind them knocking coconuts together.
Yeah.
The running joke about unladen swallows, how just weird the ending is because they go to storm the castle and a bunch of cops just show up and arrest them and the movie's over.
Wait, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I
Have you
haven't
not
seen.
seen the
I
movie?
haven't. No, I have not seen. I've
Oh,
seen clips.
man,
I know of Monty Python. I know of
dang,
certain scenes, but
I spoiled the ending for you because the ending is just—it's insane. Like,
It's great.
You watch the movie and the screen just cuts to black, and you're like, "What just happened?" And it's playing this really dumb like elevator music over the credits. And so, yeah,
awesome.
I think this movie is just absolutely hilarious in its own British way.
That's what I gotta watch it because I mean that's another one that has crept into the pop culture as like a cult classic. I feel like
Everybody knows. I didn't even mention the scene with the Black Knight, but the "'Tis but a flesh wound."
Yeah, 'tis but a scratch.
That's it's huge in meme culture.
Yes.
So
like I know the meme, but I don't. Even though I don't know the scene in the movie, I know the meme. Yeah. All right, Trent, you get to round out your list here. 2 back-to-back picks. What you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up one that was tangentially brought up a couple minutes ago. For my buddy comedy, I am gonna take The Nice Guys.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, this
I had
movie.
a feeling you would pick this.
Everybody, was freaking out about Ryan Gosling's comedic potential in Barbie, as well they should, because it's him going to a whole new place and level. But this movie, he is incredible in. So in this movie, Gosling portrays a private detective investigating a murder, and he's trying to locate a witness to ask about it. And the witness, separately in the movie, realizes Ryan Gosling is following her and pays Russell Crowe to beat up Ryan Gosling to stop him from following her. And then eventually they realize that to solve a whole separate thing, the two of them need to team up is basically the core premise of the movie. And there's just everything. I mean, basically every line of dialogue is a joke in some way or form, but everything, especially Ryan Gosling does, is just truly some of the funniest things I've ever seen. There's a kind of now famous scene of Ryan Gosling in a bathroom stall, and he realizes Russell Crowe's in there, and he's still scared of him at this point, and so he's trying to like open the door while pointing a gun at him, but he can't hold the gun and sit on the toilet and hold the door open at the same time. So he's having to kick the door open and point the gun. And then he drops a cigarette that he's smoking into his lap, but then he's also trying to cover himself up. So just all these things are happening at once. And just, yeah, he, like, Ryan Gosling doesn't have his stuff together, and his daughter is played by, what's her name? Angouria Rice, who played Betty in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Oh, yeah.
She's hilarious because she's like basically Ryan Gosling's character like is going through a depressive period in his life and like is like an alcoholic, so he can't drive, and so she drives him around because he's so helpless.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is an R-rated movie, I should say too. So this is not family friendly, even though this is a family friendly podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it, but that's okay. It sounds like a great time.
It's set during the 70s where like smog area is a big thing, and they go look for a character at like a protest, and they're all wearing gas masks and pretending to be dead because they can't breathe because of the air. And at one point, Russell Crowe's like, "So you can't breathe because of the air?" And he's like, "The gas mask didn't help you?" And they all kind of like look at him and look at each other like, "Oh yeah, we should have thought of that." But no, great buddy comedy written and directed by Shane Black, who sort of created the modern buddy comedy with Lethal Weapon and all that stuff. So big recommend for me for The Nice Guys. And then I'm actually gonna vaguely stay in the buddy comedy realm with my wild card. And I'm going to close it out with my favorite Will Ferrell, Adam McKay movie, The Other Guys, with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, interesting.
I have seen 2 movies twice in the theater in my life, Avengers Endgame and The Other Guys, because I was so funny during summer vacation, and it was rainy one week. We went to see it at the beginning of the week, and then we were like, it's raining again, and we were like, we need to go see this movie again. And I feel like people who've seen this movie only recently missed out on crucial cultural moments, because if you remember, the posters for this movie made Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne Johnson, like they were the stars of the movie. And
Really?
then if you've seen the movie, they like die hilariously 10 minutes
Aim
in.
for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes.
Oh, that's this movie. Oh, yes.
And just like this is the movie we were talking about Channing Tatum and Jump Street, realizing this is the movie like Mark Wahlberg as a comedic actor became kind of a thing. There's a hilarious scene where Mark Wahlberg's like, if I were a lion and you were a tuna, I would go out of my way to eat you. I would swim out to the ocean to eat you. And then Will Ferrell replies that, well, actually, lions don't like water. And what we would do is we would construct a breathing apparatus made of kelp and trap small amounts of oxygen so we could establish a beachhead and then stalk you and your entire family. And it's just that like there are exchanges from this movie that Emily, Matt, and I and a couple of our other friends quote to each other regularly to this day. We like, I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly. Like we say shockingly often.
Oh, that's so good.
Shot Derek Jeter.
Should have shot A-Rod.
All right, I've seen the opening scene, Aim for the Bushes, but I have not seen the rest of this movie. So that's on.
You need to watch.
So
it.
would you recommend
something else?
How about a Avengers Endgame and the other guys like double feature? Trent, is that that seem like a good
that like it's a double feature that maybe only I would attend, but like I would happily do so.
You'd be there and then you do it again the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Joseph, you have one final pick. It's your action comedy movie. What you got?
So I was actually thinking about taking The Other Guys.
Oh.
But I don't think I was going to, even if Trent hadn't taken it. I think I'm going to have to pick the movie that had the scene that I have laughed the hardest at any scene in my entire life watching this movie. And there's a story behind me watching this movie. Went to a double feature at a drive-in with a bunch of friends in high school in the middle of the summer. The first movie, Transformers: Age of Extinction, the worst movie I had ever watched in a theatrical context. Like, it was horrible. And then this movie saved the night. And it is a sequel to a movie that is on this list. 22 Jump Street.
You did it.
Let's go.
You did it. Okay.
Let's go.
The scene when Channing Tatum figures out
yes
that Jonah Hill's character is dating the captain's daughter.
Yes.
And they have the tick, 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 ding. And he figures it out and starts running around and telling everybody in the whole police department is the hardest I have ever laughed in any movie.
Awesome. It's in the top 3 for me as well.
We were watching this in the back of a car or something with all of us. It was 15 of us from high school out there watching it, just erupting in laughter.
Of course.
And
of course.
There's just something about this movie. I don't hardly even remember what happened in the rest of the movie, but I remember laughing at that part.
You don't need to. They do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And then obviously you have the scene with Dave Franco and Rob Riggle in the prison. And when Jonah Hill goes and when he actually meets the captain, when they go out to lunch. And he's slowly figuring it out, and neither of them are telling anybody else how they know each other.
Yeah.
So
it's so good. I mean, that scene's really good.
Just on those scenes alone, I got to put 22 Jump Street in here.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick.
I don't blame you, man, at all. That's a great pick. Wow. Also, keeping the cards close to the chest. I mentioned 22 Jump Street earlier. You just sat back quietly. You said, "Guess what? I'll wait, and I'll pick it with my last pick." That was a baller move. Yeah, you did wait for your shining moment. Honestly, I do feel like that movie has to be elevated for you. Has to be. Because it came on the heels of Transformers: Age of Extinction. You know what I mean? That gave it a bump. You know what I mean?
Like, wow, the worst movie ever, and then a movie that, if you look at it, is probably not the greatest movie ever, but it's fun.
But it's really good though, and I do think like I feel like with comedies especially, you don't get many good sequels if someone does make a sequel.
No, well, it's the amazing thing because they're not good because they do the same thing, and so Lord and Miller are like, we're gonna make that the whole point in the joke.
Yes,
is that like we're just doing it again.
Yes, exactly.
Like, let's
and
run
then
it back.
They play the joke out over the end credits of like all of the sequels they're gonna make. Like,
yeah, that's right. Yes,
like
and then at one point, like
Jump Street.
And then like Seth Rogen comes in for one, and then then Jonah Hill comes back, and like Channing Tatum and characters like, oh man, I'm so glad you're back, and he's like, what contract dispute? Like,
they had like the medical school one.
Bill Hader's like an evil chef in one of them.
Yeah, cooking school.
Man. I gotta watch these movies again, man. I love them.
They're so good.
All right, I'm gonna round us out. This one was on my list to pick in one of the other categories, but no one else picked it. So I'm very excited. In my wild card spot, I am picking Bridesmaids.
Ooh.
I mean, to me, I think Bridesmaids is like we had Barbie this summer, but before that, this might be the last like true mega hit in the box office as a comedy.
Probably
2011. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And but I actually just watched this for the first time in the last like 2 years or so. And similar to what we've talked about with other movies, laughed the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Laughed the entire and then there's so many like standout scenes. My mind immediately when I think of this movie, my mind only goes to when they go dress shopping.
Yep.
And what's her name? Maya Rudolph's character is like, having an emergency in the bathroom, trying to go in the sink. Then she's in the street going to the bathroom. She's
just like, it's happening.
Crazy.
It's happening.
And then they all start losing it. They're like, they all start losing their lunches in different ways, man. It's so funny. That scene cracks me up. But this would have been my ensemble pick. This was obviously a big deal because it's like a female-led cast, female-led movie, and like truly Melissa McCarthy in this movie, by the way. I love Melissa McCarthy.
The arrival of Melissa McCarthy and then like her dominance is gonna like for like the next 5 years.
Yes. It like started here and then she ascended quickly after this point. But she's incredible.
She's so good in this.
And
like the whole thing with her and the air marshal, who's played by her actual husband.
Her actual husband, exactly. Yes, the chemistry, the weird chemistry they have together. It's so funny, man. Yeah, I'm rounded out with Bridesmaids. Okay, that completes our draft, guys.
Yeah,
I feel really good. I'll run through everyone's roster for one final time. We'll put a poll up on social media, so go to Instagram and vote for who you felt drafted the best team of comedies. Trent had Hot Fuzz, The Nice Guys, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, When Harry Met Sally, and The Other Guys. Joseph had 22 Jump Street, Talladega Nights, Spaceballs, The Princess Bride, and Monty Python. And then I had Scott Pilgrim versus the World, 21 Jump Street, Mean Girls, Crazy Stupid Love, and Bridesmaids. Again, there'll be a poll on Instagram. Go vote. See who you thought had the best team of comedy movies. Is there any like honorable mentions we want to throw out there before we leave?
I mean, I kind of can't believe that just the three of us growing up when we did that nobody. I'm surprised nobody took Step Brothers or Anchorman.
Yeah.
in this draft,
which
I feel like are two of the most famous ones.
Anchorman was up there for me.
I think this one is more slept on. I really like Wild Hogs.
I saw it once years ago. I don't know. I don't remember enough to like honestly weigh in.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. But there's several on my list. Napoleon Dynamite is big in this house. That is Haley's like favorite movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely quotable. I love Hot Rod personally. Andy Samberg.
Hot Rod would have been on my honorable mentions, and Wedding Crashers, despite how things in that have not aged well.
Yeah,
I do still love Wedding Crashers.
Happy Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
On
Go to your
the
home.
Happy Gilmore, oh, it's so great. On the rom-com front, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, banger. You've Got Mail, an absolute classic.
Yep.
Not on the rom-com front, but I feel like Shrek. I don't know if we think animated first, but maybe actually, never mind. Shrek is a rom-com when you think about it.
Yeah, as we were drafting, I sort of was like, it wouldn't have changed anything, but I was like, I honestly might have put like the Lego Movie on my long list for ensemble comedies.
Yeah,
because there's so many like famous people.
There's
in
so
that
many
movie.
good. Yes, so many great voice acting in that movie.
Another one that made me laugh a lot. Not the greatest movie ever, but I really enjoyed Grown Ups when it came out.
Oh yeah, me too, Joseph. Me too. I love Grown Ups. Yes, I love that movie. Again, yeah, it's not like the greatest quality, but I love it. I have a soft spot for Grown Ups. Coming to America, Eddie Murphy, an absolute classic. And then not a classic, but something I literally just watched this weekend. Movie came out last year, Theater Camp. I highly recommend to y'all. Trent, have you seen it?
Josh, like when I tell you that the Jafka JFK thing in Theater Camp, like that joke, and then the guy from 22 Jump Street, Joseph, plays like the San Fernando Red Herrings receiver guy in 22 Jump Street, plays like the ultimate bro in Theater Camp, and there's one part with Post Malone as an audition song, and he starts vibing, and it's the funniest thing.
It's so good.
The JFK thing, and then like the live conference video, Josh, to like live from the hospital room, like that gag. Emily, Matt, and I were rolling on the floor, like watching that movie a couple months ago.
This one is like, it's bizarre in so many ways, and it's so campy. It's I feel like could be a cult classic kind of deal.
I think in 10 years, people will say it's one of the better comedies to come out of the last like 20 years.
Completely agree. I wish it had been in theaters, to be honest, because I think it could have really gained some ground out there. Molly Gordon and Ayo Edebiri, like they are on the ascension in Hollywood right now.
Yes.
And this is a prime example of it. I loved it. Yeah. We got any final thoughts as we wrap up our draft today?
No, you guys like reminded me of a bunch of stuff that I loved, and like stuff like a couple ones I haven't seen, and then a lot of them that I haven't seen in a long time that I'm like, it's time for a rewatch.
That's how I feel.
So I'm glad we did this. This was a fun little divergent a little bit from our usual stuff, but I think still in the relative realm of what we do. So
absolutely. Some of these movies have a fandom like following. You know what I mean? Like, there is a real following to a lot of these movies. So, yeah, I feel the same way. There's so much now that I can't wait to go rewatch or watch for the first time. So, I hope you all feel the same as you are listening. Hope we gave you some recommendations today. But as always, thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on social media at The Stinger Pod, and on TikTok at The Stinger Pod. Stay tuned for more content from us. We can't wait to continue cranking out the content for you all. Thanks for being patient with us as we had to go on a little hiatus, and we will be back soon.